Awakening the past. Commander Sarek stood at the helm of the spacecraft, his metallic hand resting on a console that flickered with data from across the galaxy. He had commanded this probe for what felt like an eternity, navigating through countless star systems in search of answers that had long eluded him. Today, however, was different. Today marked a pivotal moment in his career, one that could change everything for his people. Why is it that our discoveries are met with such skepticism? Sarek's voice echoed in the conference room, a mix of frustration and determination coloring his tone as he addressed Lieutenant Mailer, who sat across from him, trying to maintain an air of calm amidst the tension. Mailer shifted uncomfortably in his seat, aware that many in their alliance regarded humans as mere myths, stories passed down through generations without any substantial evidence to support their existence. "Commander," he replied cautiously, "the Council requires hard proof before they will entertain any claims regarding ancient humans." Sarek's gaze hardened as he leaned closer to Mailer, his eyes burning with intensity. "But we have found remnants, artifacts that defy explanation, structures that suggest an advanced civilization far superior to our own." His frustration flared as he recalled countless meetings where his findings were dismissed as misunderstandings or outright fabrications. Mailer nodded slowly, understanding but unable to quell his own doubts about presenting such extraordinary claims without tangible evidence. "Yes, sir," he conceded, "but without concrete proof, a living entity. We are fighting an uphill battle." Sarek's thoughts raced as he reflected on their recent discoveries. Ruins buried beneath layers of dust on forgotten worlds, intricate technologies left behind by a civilization presumed extinct for centuries. Each artifact they unearthed seemed to whisper secrets of a time long gone. Yet every time he presented these findings to the Council, they were met with ridicule. "Every legend we know has been debunked," Sarek continued somberly, "except for this one." He paused, allowing his words to sink in before adding, "What if we could prove them wrong? What if we could find living humans?" Mailer raised an eyebrow at Sarek's bold assertion. "And how do you propose we do that? The galaxy is vast. Our previous searches have yielded nothing but dust and echoes." Before Sarek could respond, a young officer burst into the room carrying a small data device, his face etched with anxiety. "Commander, we've received a transmission from the SIOS system." Sarek straightened instantly, intrigued by this unexpected development. "What kind of communication?" "It's peculiar," the officer stammered nervously. "It was broadcast on an antiquated frequency, one we haven't utilized in thousands of cycles, and it isn't coded." Mailer exchanged a glance with Sarek. This was unusual indeed. "An antiquated frequency," he echoed incredulously. "Yes, sir," replied the officer, clearly uneasy under their scrutiny. "The source appears to be a small unidentified planet near a dying star." Sarek felt a rush of excitement mixed with apprehension as he considered what this could mean for their mission. He took the device from the officer and connected it to the control console. As he did so, static filled the room before giving way to a shaky image on screen, a desolate landscape marred by time. "Where is this place?" Mailer asked grimly as he leaned closer to examine the footage. Suddenly, amidst the static came a voice, fractured syllables breaking through. "We are here." Mailer's eyes widened in disbelief as he turned to Sarek. "Who sent this?" "The planet is the origin of the signal," replied the officer urgently while pointing at the screen displaying more surface details. There it was, half hidden by dust and rubble, a structure that bore unmistakable signs of human architecture. Sarek felt his heart race with anticipation as he stepped closer to scrutinize it further. "That's theirs," he breathed out almost reverently. "How can you be sure?" Mailer asked skeptically. Sarek hesitated, but then replied with certainty in his voice, "This building looks different from anything we've encountered before. It isn't just ruins. It's functional." He gestured towards it emphatically, as if trying to convey its significance beyond mere stone and metal. "Let's go there," Mailer urged eagerly but was met with Sarek's stern expression. "We can't just." Mailer began but was cut off by Sarek's commanding tone. "Get the ship ready. This is our chance to prove that humans exist, and that they are still alive." Without another word, Mailer nodded obediently and rushed out of the room, while Sarek remained behind for just a moment longer, staring at the screen where hope flickered like a distant star. The journey through space felt surreal. Every passing moment heightened Sarek's anticipation, mixed with trepidation, over what awaited them on that barren planet shrouded in mystery. As they approached Sios' system, questions swirled in his mind. If humanity survived against all odds, what kind of civilization would they have become? Would they still hold on to their former glory, or would time have twisted them into something unrecognizable? When they finally touched down on Sios' dusty surface, Sarek stepped out into silence, the air thick with anticipation and uncertainty, as they made their way toward that ancient structure looming ahead like a ghost from another era. Each step felt monumental as they traversed terrain long untouched by life, finally arriving at what appeared to be entrance doors weathered by centuries, yet still standing resolute against time itself. With trembling hands, Sarek reached out and touched its cold metallic surface. Something resonated deep within him, a connection forged across eons, before they pushed open heavy creaking doors leading into darkness illuminated only by faint beams flickering along walls lined with shadows. And there he saw him, a man seated before a dusty control panel whose face was obscured by a helmet, his body immobile yet alive, a living testament to humanity's endurance against oblivion itself. "Who are you?" came a weak voice from within that helmeted figure, the inquiry hanging heavily in air filled with unspoken histories waiting to be unveiled under scrutiny once again after so long lost among stars above them all. The journey to Ceos. The spacecraft hummed softly as it glided through the vast expanse of space, its sleek form cutting through the darkness like a knife. Commander Sarek stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the swirling stars outside, each one a distant beacon of hope and possibility. The journey to the Ceos system was unlike any other he had undertaken. It was fraught with anticipation and uncertainty, a delicate balance between hope and dread. As they approached the desolate planet, Sarek felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. The signal they had intercepted was unlike anything he had encountered before, a call from the past, echoing through the void. What awaited them on this barren world? Was it merely an ancient relic of a civilization long thought extinct, or something more profound? Lieutenant Mailer joined him at the console, his expression a blend of skepticism and curiosity. "Commander," he began, breaking the silence that enveloped them, "what do you expect to find down there? You know how the Council feels about our claims regarding humans." Sarek turned to face Mailer, his expression resolute. "I expect to find answers. If there is even a chance that humans survived, if they still exist, then we owe it to ourselves and to history to uncover the truth." His voice was steady, filled with conviction. Mailer nodded but remained unconvinced. "We've searched countless worlds for evidence of their existence, and all we found are myths and ruins. What makes this planet different?" "This signal," Sarek replied, gesturing towards the screen displaying the coordinates of the source. "It's not just static, it's intentional. Someone, or something, wants us to find them." As they neared the planet's atmosphere, the ship began to tremble slightly, turbulence shaking their vessel as it descended into the thick clouds that cloaked Ceos. The view outside transformed into a swirling mass of gray and brown, obscuring their vision until they broke through into a stark landscape below. The surface was barren and desolate, dotted with crumbling structures that hinted at a once thriving civilization. Sarek's heart raced as he took in the sight. These ruins were unmistakably human in design, their architecture bearing the hallmarks of ingenuity and artistry that had long since faded into obscurity. "Prepare for landing," Sarek commanded, his mind racing with possibilities. They touched down gently on a patch of cracked earth, dust swirling around them as they exited the ship. Stepping onto Ceos felt like crossing into another era. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the distant echoes of their footsteps on the parched ground. Sarek glanced at Mailer, who surveyed their surroundings with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Where do we start?" Mailer asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarek pointed towards a massive structure half buried in debris ahead of them. "There. That building looks intact enough to explore." As they approached the structure, Sarek felt an overwhelming sense of history wash over him. This place had witnessed centuries unfold. It held stories waiting to be told. The entrance loomed before them like an ancient guardian, its heavy doors rusted but still standing firm against time. With a deep breath, Sarek pushed open one of the doors. It creaked ominously as they stepped inside, revealing the dimly lit interior where shadows danced along walls adorned with faded murals depicting scenes of life, a life that once thrived here. "Look at this," Mailer said, pointing towards an intricate carving etched into the wall. It depicted humans engaged in various activities: farming, building structures, exploring their world. The craftsmanship was exquisite. Sarek traced his fingers along the carvings, feeling a connection to those who had come before him. "They were proud," he murmured. "They built something beautiful." As they ventured deeper into the building, they discovered remnants of technology scattered throughout, devices that seemed both alien and familiar. Sarek's heart raced at each new find. Every artifact hinted at a story waiting to be uncovered. Suddenly, Mailer stopped in his tracks, his eyes widening in disbelief as he pointed towards an open doorway at the far end of the corridor. "Commander, over here." Sarek hurried to join him and peered into the room beyond. It was filled with rows of dusty consoles and screens flickering weakly with residual power. In the center sat an imposing chair facing a large viewport overlooking the desolate landscape outside. "Is this some kind of control room?" Mailer asked incredulously. "It appears so," Sarek replied as he stepped inside cautiously. He approached one of the consoles and brushed away layers of dust to reveal buttons and switches long untouched by human hands. "What do you think happened here?" Mailer wondered aloud. Sarek shook his head slowly as he examined the equipment surrounding him. "I don't know yet, but I intend to find out." Just then, an unexpected noise emanated from behind them, a low hum that gradually grew louder until it reverberated through the room like a heartbeat. Both men turned sharply toward its source. "What is that?" Mailer asked nervously as he reached for his weapon instinctively. Sarek held up a hand to signal him to lower it. "Wait. Let's see what it is." The hum intensified until it morphed into distinct words, broken yet clear. "We are here." Sarek's heart raced as he exchanged glances with Mailer. They weren't alone after all. "Who are you?" came another voice from within shadows, a figure emerging slowly from behind one of the consoles where dust had settled like a shroud over time. Sarek stepped forward cautiously as recognition washed over him. This was no mere hologram or remnant of technology. It was a living being seated before them, in worn clothing that spoke volumes about years spent in isolation. "Are you human?" Sarek asked incredulously as he took in every detail. The pale skin marked by time's passage and eyes that held stories untold. The figure raised its head slowly. Its gaze met Sarek's with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. "Yes," came the weak reply, a single word laden with history and emotion that echoed through their surroundings like thunder rolling across distant hills. In that moment, everything changed. The weight of centuries pressed upon them both as they stood on threshold between past and present, two worlds colliding in ways neither could have anticipated. The living relic. The dim light of the control room flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls as Sarek and Mailer stood before the human, a living relic from a time long forgotten. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken questions, each moment heavy with the weight of history. Sarek felt a mixture of awe and trepidation as he gazed at the man who had survived against all odds, a testament to humanity's resilience. "Who are you?" the human had asked, his voice weak but filled with an echo of authority. Sarek's heart raced. This was not just a discovery. It was a connection to a past that had been shrouded in myth and speculation. "We are from Verisis," Sarek replied slowly, choosing his words carefully. "Part of the Intergalactic Confederation. We thought you were extinct." The human's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of emotion crossing his sunken features. "Missing is what they say," he murmured, his eyes distant as if recalling memories buried deep within him. He leaned back in his chair, the weight of years pressing heavily on his frail body. "But we have not vanished. We have simply chosen to watch." Mailer shifted uneasily, still gripping his weapon tightly. "You abandoned everything," he said incredulously, unable to mask his disbelief. "Abandoned? No," the human replied, his tone sharp yet weary. "We have observed. We have watched as the galaxy spins in its endless cycles of conflict and chaos." His gaze was piercing, as if he could see through Mailer's skepticism and into the very core of his being. Sarek felt a chill run down his spine at the implications of those words. The human's existence was not merely an anomaly. It represented a choice, a decision made by an entire civilization to step back from the turmoil that had plagued them for centuries. "Why?" Sarek asked, curiosity mingling with concern. "Why would you choose to live in exile?" The human sighed deeply, a sound filled with resignation. "We fought enough battles, built enough monuments to our hubris. We realized that our presence only fueled the flames of conflict." He paused, allowing the gravity of his words to settle in the air between them. Mailer frowned, clearly struggling with this notion. "So you just let it all fall apart? You watched while others suffered?" "Not without pain," the human replied softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "We hoped for change, believed that perhaps by stepping away, we could allow others to find their own path without our interference." Sarek considered this perspective, grappling with the implications it held for their own society. Could they truly step back from their responsibilities? Was it right to abandon those in need? "What do you mean by watch? How do you communicate with your people?" Sarek pressed, eager for more information. The human's eyes darkened momentarily as he glanced towards the flickering lights around them. "I have not communicated with anyone for years," he admitted reluctantly. "My systems are failing. I am but a remnant of what once was." Mailer took a step closer, intrigued despite himself. "So there are more of you. Where are they?" "Scattered," the human replied cryptically, his gaze shifting towards the doorway, as if sensing something beyond their immediate surroundings. "They hide in shadows and whispers. If they know you are here, they will not react kindly." Sarek's heart sank at this revelation. Uncertainty loomed over them like a dark cloud ready to unleash its fury. "What do you mean? Are they hostile?" The human hesitated before responding, weighing his words carefully. "They seek peace but will defend themselves fiercely if threatened." His voice grew firm, resonating with an authority that belied his frail appearance. Mailer shifted uneasily at this warning, glancing towards Sarek as if seeking reassurance. "What do we do now?" he asked quietly. Sarek felt a surge of determination rise within him. They could not walk away from this discovery without understanding its full implications. "We need to know more," he declared resolutely. "If there are more humans out there, if they are watching us, then we must find them before someone else does." The human regarded him with an intensity that sent shivers down Sarek's spine. "You tread on dangerous ground," he warned softly but firmly. "If you reveal our existence without understanding our history and intentions, it could lead to devastation." "What do you suggest?" Mailer interjected cautiously. "Perhaps," the human began slowly, "you could help me restore my communication system." His eyes sparkled with a glimmer of hope amidst despair. "If I can reach out to my people, we may find a way forward together." Sarek exchanged glances with Mailer. It was risky but potentially rewarding. Restoring communication could bridge the gap between their worlds and offer insights into humanity's current state. "Very well," Sarek agreed finally, determination etched on his face. "We will help you." As they set about examining the control panel and its worn components, Sarek couldn't shake off the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental, a chance to rewrite history and redefine relationships across galaxies. Hours passed as they worked diligently under dim lights flickering erratically above them. Each connection made brought them closer to understanding what had transpired during humanity's long absence from galactic affairs. Finally, after what felt like an eternity spent navigating through layers of dust and decay, a low hum filled the room. The sound of systems coming back online resonated like music in their ears. "It's working," Mailer exclaimed excitedly as screens illuminated around them, displaying static-filled images interspersed with fragments of data. The human leaned forward eagerly, fingers trembling over controls as he initiated a transmission sequence aimed at reaching out into the void where echoes lingered, hoping against hope that someone would respond. As moments stretched into what felt like lifetimes, filled with anticipation and anxiety alike, the silence shattered suddenly by voices crackling through static, familiar yet distant, human voices reaching out across time and space. "We hear you," came one voice amidst others, a chorus rising from shadows long forgotten, a testament that humanity still existed beyond their isolated sanctuary. Tears welled up in Sarek's eyes as realization washed over him. They were no longer alone. Their mission had transformed from mere exploration into something far greater, a chance for reconciliation and understanding between two worlds, separated by time yet united by shared history. But even amidst joy lingered uncertainty. What would happen next? Would humanity emerge from its self-imposed exile, ready to engage once more with galactic affairs? Or would old wounds resurface amidst newfound alliances? As they stood together, Commander Sarek and Lieutenant Mailer alongside this living relic, they understood that their journey was only beginning. Choices lay ahead, fraught with challenges yet brimming with potential for change. A chance not just for survival, but for healing across galaxies long divided by conflict and misunderstanding. In that moment, amidst flickering screens illuminating faces filled with hope, they knew one thing: the past was not lost. It lived on in every heartbeat echoing within those ancient walls, a reminder that even when thought extinct, life finds ways to awaken anew. Echoes of history. The air in the control room felt charged with tension as Sarek and Mailer stood before the living relic of humanity. The human's presence was a stark reminder of a past that had been buried in myth and speculation. Yet here he was, a tangible connection to a civilization that had once thrived. Sarek could sense the weight of history pressing down upon them, urging him to understand the complexities of what lay before him. The human, still seated in his worn chair, regarded them with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "You have many questions," he said, his voice steady despite the frailty of his body. "But be mindful of what you seek. The truth can be as burdensome as it is enlightening." Sarek nodded, feeling the gravity of those words. "We need to know why you chose to go into hiding." He pressed gently. "What led to this decision? What do you hope to achieve by remaining silent?" The human leaned back slightly, his gaze drifting toward the flickering screens that surrounded them. "We watched as the galaxy spiraled into chaos," he began slowly. "Wars erupted over resources, ideologies clashed, and countless lives were lost in the name of progress. We believed that by stepping away, we could allow others to find their own path without our interference." Mailer shifted uncomfortably at this revelation. "But isn't that abandoning those who need help?" he challenged. "You could have made a difference." The human's eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of sadness crossing his features. "And what difference would it have made? We were once leaders, warriors, builders, but we realized that our presence often ignited further conflict rather than resolving it." He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. "We decided to become observers instead, silent witnesses to the unfolding drama of existence." Sarek felt a pang of empathy for the man before him. It was clear that this choice had not come easily. "But surely there must be some among your people who wish to re-engage with the galaxy?" he asked, seeking to understand the full scope of their decision. The human nodded slowly. Yes, some do wish to return, to reclaim their place among the stars and attempt to heal what has been broken. His voice grew more intense as he spoke, but many fear that doing so would only lead to more violence. The scars of our past run deep. As Sarek listened, he couldn't help but reflect on his own society, the conflicts that had shaped their history, and the fragile peace they maintained through uneasy alliances. The echoes of ancient battles resonated within him. Perhaps humanity's choice to withdraw was not so different from their own struggles. "What are you waiting for?" Mailer asked bluntly, frustration creeping into his tone. "If you have the ability to communicate with your people, why not reach out? Why remain hidden?" "Because," the human replied firmly, "the galaxy is not ready for us yet." His gaze bore into Mailer's with an intensity that silenced any further objections. "We have seen how easily fear can turn into hatred, how quickly alliances can crumble under pressure." Sarek felt a chill run down his spine at those words. They rang true in a way that was unsettling. He glanced at Mailer, who seemed torn between disbelief and understanding. "Then what do we do now?" Sarek asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. The human considered this for a moment before responding. "You must decide what is more important, revealing our existence or ensuring our safety." He leaned forward slightly, his expression earnest. "If you choose to disclose our survival without understanding the consequences, it could lead to catastrophic results, not just for us, but for your people as well." Mailer crossed his arms defensively, clearly struggling with this dilemma. "But if we don't report back what we found, how can we justify our mission? How can we ensure that humanity's legacy is remembered?" "Legacy?" The human scoffed softly, shaking his head. "What legacy do you think remains when conflict reigns, when fear overshadows understanding?" His voice grew softer but more resolute. "Our legacy is one of caution, a reminder that power without wisdom leads only to destruction." Sarek felt a surge of frustration at this perspective. It was difficult to accept that humanity had chosen silence over action when so much was at stake in the galaxy. Yet he also understood the weight of history behind those words, the lessons learned through centuries of conflict. "What if we could help?" Sarek suggested tentatively. "What if we could mediate between your people and ours? Perhaps we could find common ground." The human regarded him thoughtfully for a moment before responding. "It is a noble thought," he admitted slowly, "but trust is not easily earned after years of isolation." He sighed deeply as if burdened by memories long held close. "Then how do we begin?" Sarek pressed urgently. Time was running short. "First," said the human firmly, "you must understand our history, our pain, and then perhaps there can be dialogue." He paused again, looking between Sarek and Mailer with an intensity that demanded their attention. As they stood together in that dimly lit room filled with echoes from ages past, three beings from different worlds united by fate, Sarek felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility settle upon him like a heavy cloak. "We will learn," he vowed quietly but firmly. Determination coursed through him like fire igniting purpose within his heart. The human nodded slowly as if acknowledging this commitment, a flicker of hope igniting within those weary eyes once more. "Then let us begin," he said softly, but resolutely. Conclusion. As they delved deeper into discussions about humanity's past, its triumphs and tragedies, Sarek found himself captivated by tales woven from threads of resilience and sorrow alike. Stories that transcended time itself. Days turned into weeks as they worked tirelessly together, sharing knowledge and insights while forging bonds across barriers once thought insurmountable, each revelation bringing them closer toward understanding one another's perspectives. In time, the walls built by fear began to crumble. Bridges formed where once there were chasms filled with misunderstanding and mistrust. Finally came a day when they stood together. Commander Sarek, Lieutenant Mailer, and their newfound ally, the living relic who represented all that humanity had endured, ready to take the next step forward into an uncertain future filled with promise yet shrouded in shadows. As they prepared for their journey back toward Verisis, their hearts filled with hope, the echoes of history whispered around them, a reminder that even amidst darkness, light could still break through, illuminating paths toward reconciliation and understanding across galaxies long divided by conflict. And so began their new chapter, a journey not just toward discovery, but toward healing, a chance for two worlds once separated by time and choice, to come together once more in pursuit of peace amidst chaos, a testament that even when thought extinct, life finds ways to awaken anew.